Masechet Yevamot Daf Kof Yod Tet. We begin the 16th Perek with the Mishnah. Haisha shalach ba'ala v'sarata lemidinat hayam. We have a man who's married to two women, and he has no children at this point. One of the wives stay home. One goes away on a trip with the husband. Ubau ve'amru la met ba'alich. And now witnesses come and say your husband has died. So unlike the previous perek here, there's witnesses. We know for sure the husband is actually dead. So what's the problem? Well, when she hears the husband is dead, I guess she can presume that because he's dead and there are no sons, she would have to do yibum with one of the brothers who's around. Right? No. Lo tinaseh ve'lo tijabem. She cannot marry out and she cannot do yibum. Until she finds out maybe the co-wife who went away on the trip with him, while they were on the trip, she may have become pregnant. And if she's pregnant, then she may give birth. Even if she gives birth after the husband died, once she has a child, therefore there is no possibility of yibum. So the wife that stays at home cannot do yibum until she finds out. She also can't marry out because maybe the co-wife who's away will not have a child, either will not be pregnant or will miscarry. And in that case, she would have to do yibum. So we don't know which way it is. So she cannot marry and she cannot do yibum until she finds out what is the status of the co-wife who was away. That's case number one. Case number two. Haita la hamot. You have a man who has no brothers, and he goes away with his mother. So you have a wife staying home, and the wife's husband and her mother-in-law go away on a trip. We do not have to worry. She doesn't have to worry once if she hears that the husband has died. She doesn't have to worry that maybe while the mother-in-law was away, maybe the mother-in-law and the father-in-law went away. Maybe she became pregnant while she was away on the trip and had another brother. Had a son, rather. So that means her second son. That means her husband, in fact, had a brother, and she would have to do yibum. She doesn't have to worry about that, right? When they went away, there was a chazakah that there is no other brother, and so should he die, she can marry out, and she can assume that going forwards. Except, if the mother-in-law left on the trip, and she was pregnant when she left, then we have to worry. Maybe she will have a viable child, and maybe it will in fact be a boy. And in that case, when her husband dies, she cannot marry out. She needs yibum or chalitza. Rabbi Yoshua says, no, even if she's pregnant, we don't have to worry about that possibility. After all, there's a chance that she may miscarry, and even if she has a viable child, it may be a girl, and there's no yibum if there's no brother to her husband. So that is up to machloket. Okay, so the Gemara is going to discuss a lot. What is the difference between the first case and the second case? With the first case, we say you have to worry, chosheshim, and she cannot remarry or do yibum until she finds out. Where regarding the mother-in-law, as long as she's not pregnant, we say no, don't worry, and just go ahead with the chazakah that was there previously. Okay, so first we're going to ask a language question. Mai hi sarata. Up here it says, ad sheteda shema me'oberet hi sarata. Just say, until we know, maybe me'oberet sarata. Maybe the co-wife is pregnant. What does it mean, hi sarata? Hakamashmalan lehasarahu dechashinan aval lesara hariti lo chashina. Teaches us that we only have to worry about the co-wife that we know. Before they left on the trip, this man had two wives. One went away, so we have to worry maybe the wife that went away there is pregnant. We don't have to worry that maybe he married yet another wife somewhere along the line that we don't right now know about and we have to search for, and maybe that wife is pregnant or has a child. Right? We only have to worry about the things that we actually know about and are in front of us. That's why it says he and not any other. Now, in the first case, she is stuck. She cannot marry out or do yibum because even though when leaving there's a chazakah that there is no child, and therefore she would have to do yibum. That's true. That's the chazakah going when he leaves, but we don't know if that's still true or not. Okay, so bishlama yabumela dedirma mi abera. We understand why she cannot do yibum, because maybe the co-wife who's away is pregnant and will have a child. And if in fact the one who's away has a child, then it turns out that she thought she was doing yibum, but it was no need for do yibum. And if there's no requirement to do yibum, and she goes sleeps with her brother-in-law, that is eshet ach, which is erva mideoraita. Big problem. We understand that. אלא לא תינשא עמי, הלך אחריו נשים ורוב נשים מתעברות ויולדות. But why can't she go and marry someone else? In the majority of cases, a woman, she's married, she's away on a trip with her husband. So in the majority of cases, women become pregnant and they give birth. So it's likely that there will be a child, and therefore there will be no need for yibum, and the wife that stayed home can go ahead and marry out. Why can't we follow the majority? That's the question. We're going to see a couple of answers. One is lema Rabbi Meir hi dechayish lemiuta. Maybe we are following the opinion of Rabbi Meir, who in other cases it says we can take into account the minority. We have to worry about the minority, and therefore, even though most women are married, they'll become pregnant, have a child, but some don't. The minority don't, and therefore maybe this woman will not have a child. And since they don't have a child, the one at home, but either one of them will have to do yibum, and the one at home cannot marry out. So that's option one. This Mishnah is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. But we don't want it to be only Rabbi Meir. So we say, Afilu tema Rabbanan. No, could even be Rabbanan. Rabbanan in general say that we follow the majority and we don't have to worry about a minority case. But they only say that in some circumstances. Ki azle Rabbanan. Bataruba, ruba deite kaman, kegon, tesha chanuyot v'sanhedri. When Rabbanan say we only have to worry about the majority and not the minority, that's in a case where the majority is here in front of us. We can actually see it. It's evident. For example, a case of 9 stores that are kosher and one is not kosher, and we see a piece of meat on the street and we don't know which one it was from. So we look around, we see the 9 kosher stores, we can assume that this meat came from the kosher butcher. Or an example of a Sanhedrin, where you have the judges around and they're all there, they're present, they vote, and we follow the majority. That's where we follow the majority and we can ignore the minority altogether. But if we're talking about a statistical majority, not one that's in front of us that we can actually see and count, but rather you're going to see, all women, let's see how many give birth and how many don't give birth. This is not something that we can sit and count. This you have to look at a large statistical sampling and go around with a questionnaire. So this is not something that's in front of us. In that case, Rabbanan also would agree with Rabbi Meir that we have to worry about the minority. And so since here, yes, true, most women do, but some women don't give birth. Maybe the co-wife who was away didn't give birth, so we can't let the one who stayed home do yibum or marry out. So therefore, the Mishnah can, in fact, be either Rabbi Meir or it could be Rabbanan. But now we're going to challenge this. Is this true that Rabbanan do worry about a minority when it's not in front of us? Look at a minor boy or a minor girl. Where we're going to see this Braita is a case of a majority that is not in front of us. We're not looking at all minors and to see whether they fit into the following category or not. And yet the rabbis say we follow the majority and we don't worry about a minority. So what's the case? Tetanya katan uktana lo chosin velo miyabemin divrei Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, a minor boy and a minor girl cannot do halisa and also cannot do yibum. That's Rabbi Meir, and it is fine. Amru lo Rabbi Meir. The Rabbanan say to him, Yafe amarta shen chosin ish ketiva parasha makshinan isha leish. We agree with you totally regarding chalitza, because that's a derasha. The pasuk says ish, and that means a man, an adult can do chalitza, the minor can't. And we compare the boy to the man to the woman, and so the woman who's doing chalitza also has to be an adult, and not a minor. Fine, totally good. Ela matam en miabemin. But how come a minor can't do yibum? What will be the problem there? Amar lehem, Rabbi Meir says, here's my problem. I worry about a minority. Katan shema yimaseh seris. Ketana shema timaseh ailonit. V'nimsu pogin ba'irva. Because a katan, as a minor, we can't tell yet, but it may turn out that he will be seris, someone who never develops and cannot have a child, or she, when she's a minor, we can't tell yet, but it could be that she will not fully develop and will not be able to have a child. Someone who's a sidis or ilonit, since the whole purpose of yibum is to bear a child that will continue on the name of the deceased, and here these people cannot have a child, they cannot do yibum, and therefore if they do have bi'ah trying to do yibum, and it turns out that they are sidis or ilonit, then they will violate arva. And so that, therefore, we want to only use adults so that we know that it's not a sidis and not a ilonit, and they can have a child. That's the reason. Now, this is a rare case. Most people are not a sidis or ilonit, and yet Rabbi Meir says we worry about such a case. Okay, but Rabbanan Savreh, how come Rabbanan had a problem with this? They say, Zil batar uba de ketanim, verov ketanim lav sirisenin hu. Zil batar rov ketanot, verov ketanot lav ailonit nin hu. And it says we follow the majority, and most boys are not don't grow up to be sirisim, and most minor girls don't grow up to be ailonit, and therefore we don't have to worry. They think that a minor boy and girl can do yibum. We don't worry about the minority. And this is a minority that's not in front of us. We don't have gathered together in front of us all minor boys and girls in the world. This is just based on statistical analysis. So therefore, it's not true that Rabbanan worry about a minority. In any case, so in the end, we have to go back to our first answer. Our Mishnah must be Rabbi Meir and not Rabbanan. All right, so far so good. But now we ask, B'mai okimta kerebi meir ema sefa. So the resha, the first case where the co-wife goes away, that makes sense according to Rabbi Meir. But now let's test it out with the second case. Haita la hamot ena chosheshet. A mother-in-law goes away on a trip. The chazakah before she left is there are no brothers. Her husband has no brothers. The mother goes away also on a trip. We don't have to worry that she's going to become pregnant and have a child while she's away. Amai halechacha rov nashim verov nashim mitaberot veyoledot miut mapilot vechol hayodot mechesa zecharim mechesa nekevot smoch miuta de mapilot למכסה נקבות והבו לזכרים מיעוטה ולחוש. So the question is, why don't we worry that maybe the mother-in-law will have another son? We should follow the majority of women, and the majority of women do in fact become pregnant and give birth. And so we have to worry about that. Now, it's true, some women, a minority, end up miscarrying. And if they do have a child, even if they do have a child, there's a 50% chance they'll have a boy and 50% chance they'll have a girl. So we can take the minority of cases where she may miscarry, add that to the minority of cases where it's she has a girl. She has a girl, there's no yibum. So therefore, the majority of cases, usually a woman, including mother-in-law, will get pregnant and give birth, but the majority of those cases will be either a girl or miscarry. And so therefore, the chances that she has a viable boy are a minority. But you just said that this is to be me'ir. So velechush, we have to worry about a minority case, according to be me'ir, and therefore we should not allow the wife who is home to go ahead and remarry remarry to the shuk, because maybe she had a brother-in-law who was born. So that's to be made, and he worries about minority. What are you going to do about that? And we answer, Dilma kevantit chazaka lashuk lo hayish. We had a chazaka already before she left on the trip. before the mother-in-law went on the trip, there were no other brothers. So she can continue and rely on that presumptive status, since at that point there were no brothers, and she would be able to marry the shuk, marry anyone in the marketplace, meaning anyone who's not related. So too, we assume that no brothers were born, and she can continue that. So even Bimeir would say, if there's a chazakah, then follow the chazakah. But then we have a problem. Also go back to the first case. In the Resha, there was a presumption when they left that the husband had no children. So why don't you continue the chazakah that there are no children, and she can do yibum with one of the brothers who is at home, and ignore the possibility that the a co-wife who was away may have given birth. Just follow the chazakah in both cases. So you see that this doesn't work, because if you want to follow the chazakah in the second case, then we also have a chazakah in the first case, and we don't. In the first case, we don't allow her to remarry or do yibum. Amar Rav Nachman, so a second attempted answer to explain the difference between the two cases. Amar Abba bar Abu, Resha di sur karet chasheshu, Sefa di sur lav lo chasheshu. Difference is the level of prohibition. In the first case, there's a possibility of an isur karet. When the co-wife left, there was no children here, and so the chazakah would be that she can go ahead and do yibum. So you want to tell me, don't worry about it? Yeah, but if she's wrong, and she goes and does yibum, and it turns out that the co-wife who's away is pregnant and has a child, then it will turn out that she slept with her brother-in-law outside the context of yibum, and that is arva, a prohibition that is karet. So there, we have to worry about the possibility that maybe she gave birth, and we're not going to follow the original presumption. However, in the second case of sefa di sur lav lo chasheshu, what's the worst that can happen if, in fact, the mother-in-law turns out to be pregnant, to become pregnant and have a son, so she should have done yibum. But she follows the chazakah that there were no other brothers, and she goes and marries out. If she marries out when she should have done yibum, that's merely an isur lav. So therefore, since it's a lower level prohibition, we don't have to worry about that possibility, and we can follow the chazakah. That's Rav Nachman's suggestion in the name of Rabba bar Avu. However, Amar Rava doesn't like this at all. Michti, ha-deoraita, veha-deoraita. Mali isur karet, mali isur lav. Wait a second, both of them are deoraita prohibitions. One was a drabanan, then it goes say, okay, fine, drabanan, we're not gozer. In such a case, we don't have to worry about this. But these are both deoraita, so what? One's karet, one's isur lav. They're both very serious. Since when do we say, it's only an isur lav, so you don't have to be so careful? We never say that. Ela amar Rava, resha chazaka liibum veruba lashuk vechazaka lo adif ki ruba. Rava has some careful analysis here of the statistical possibilities, and he says in the first case we have on the one hand a hazakah saying that when they left on the trip there were no children, and therefore she should do yibum. So hazakah says do yibum. On the other hand, the majority of cases a co-wife will have a child, and therefore since there is a child she can go and marry the shuk. So we have these two opposing forces. Which one is stronger? The chazakah is not as strong as the Rav. So therefore, if only for that, the Rav would win, and she can go and marry out. But the Rav is not a full majority, because even though most women do get pregnant and have child, some will have a miscarriage. So we can take the minority away from the possibility of her having a child, away from that majority, and take that, whatever is left from the majority, that minority of cases, whatever it is, 20%, remove it and add it to the chazakah, semoch la chazakah, vavale palga palga. Once you take the minority and add it to the chazakah, then they are equal. They balance each other out. And that's why, lo tinaseh velo tijabem, so she's stuck. She can't do anything until she verifies what happened with the co-wife. But in Sefa, Chazakah, Lashuk, Veruba, Lashuk, both the Chazakah going in, when they left on the trip, assume that there were no brothers, which means there's no yibum, she can go marry out. And also, the majority of women, meaning the mother-in-law, even if they have a child, which they may miscarry, but even if they have a valid child, it may 50% it's a girl. So most cases, either will be a miscarriage or a girl, in which cases no yibum, and she can marry any out to the shuk. So both forces are weighing all on one side. So in that case, so the possibility that I have to worry about the mother-in-law had a viable boy is a minority of a minority. And Ida Meir, who says we have to worry about one minority, in this case it's a double minority, and the Chazakah is also against it, and therefore all the forces are pushing to allow her to go and marry to the shuk, and that's why in the second case, ena chosheshet. All right, very nice, very good answer. Okay, lo tidnaseh velo tityabem v'chule. We saw in the first case where the co-wife goes away, and she may be pregnant, so she's stuck. She can't marry, and she can't do yibum. We ask, for how long? Ule olam? How does she have to wait forever? Amar Zeiri le'atzma shelosha chodashim lechaberta tish'a vecholeset mima nafshach. Zeiri says, for herself she has to wait 3 months. That's the rule in any case where anyone either remarries after being married or does yibum. She has to wait 3 months to make sure that she herself is not pregnant. She'll be showing at the 3-month point. And for the co-wife, she has to wait 9 months. Why does she have to wait 9 months? Because even if she is pregnant, we're not sure if it's going to be a viable pregnancy. And if she does chalitza while the co-wife is pregnant, that chalitza is invalid. Because we don't know what the status is yet. She has to wait till either the co-wife gives birth, in which case that removes the zikah because there is a child, or she does not give birth and miscarries, and then the full zikah takes hold, and only then can she do chalitza. So therefore you have to wait 9 months, and then after 9 months, no matter what, either there'll be a miscarriage or there'll be a child. In case there was a miscarriage, the one at home should do chalitza, and so do chalitza no matter what. So no, she doesn't have to wait forever. Wait 9 months, do chalitza, and then she's good to go. Rabbi Chanina amar le'atzma shelosha lechaberta le'olam. Rabbi Chanina agrees that for herself she waits 3 months, like all women do, you marry. But lechaberta says forever. She has to not enough to wait for 9 months. She has to verify what happened with the co-wife, one way or another, and that could however long it takes, even forever. So we ask Rabbi Chanina, v'tachalos mima nafshach. Let her wait 9 months, and no matter what, do chalitza. What's the problem with doing chalitza after 9 months? Either she gave birth, and so the wife at home would be able to remarry, or maybe the one that was away had a miscarriage, and in which case the one at home did chalitza, and now she can also remarry. So wait 9 months only. Why do you have to wait forever? Abaye bar Avin v'Rabbi Chanina bar Avin amrit harvaihu gezerah shemay valad ben kayama v'nimsa tam masricha charoz lichuna. Rabbi Chanina's worry is that maybe will turn out that the woman who's away did in fact give birth to a valid child, in which case the one at home never had to do yibum and never had to do chalitza. If she did not have to do chalitza, then she's a widow and not a chalusa, and she can marry a kohen. But she did chalitza at home. So now you're going to have to, everyone's going to know she did chalitza. They're going to think that she can't marry a kohen. You're going to have to go and announce to everyone, no, it's okay, she can marry a kohen. She didn't really need chalitza. So we ask, okay, so make an announcement. What's the big deal? The problem is that there may be some people who were present at the chalitza. So they said, oh, see, chalitza, she can't marry a kohen. And they won't be around when the guy went around announcing, no, she can marry a priest, she didn't need a chalitza. And then when she goes and marries a kohen, everybody will say, oh, see, a chalitza can marry a kohen. So therefore, we prefer not to do chalitza unless we know for sure that chalitza is in fact needed. Okay, last point about this Mishnah. Tenan nitan li ben b'medinat hayam v'amera met beni v'achar kach met ba'ali ne'emenet. We saw in the Mishnah earlier that if a woman goes away and she does not, they have no children when they go away, and then she comes back by herself and she says, listen, while I was away, I had a child. But furthermore, my child died, and then my husband died. So she is believed because the presumption when she went in is that there was no child, so therefore she could do yibum. When she comes back, she is just confirming the same result as the chazakah, since, okay, fine, she had a child, she admitted she had a child, but she also said that the child died, so that's fine. And she can do yibum. On the other hand, met ba'ali v'achar kach beni, if she says, she goes away, she has no child, then she comes back and says, listen, I had a child while I was away, then my husband died, and we had a child, so now I don't do yibum, I can marry out, because my child died afterwards. And that she is not believed because her claim now is different from the presumption going in. Nevertheless, even though we don't fully believe her to let her marry out, we do worry maybe she is telling the truth, so therefore she has to do chalitza, not yibum, and then she can go and marry out. Now that we know they have this case in mind, we want to ask the same question we just did before. Maybe some witnesses will come and they will verify the very same thing that she just said, that she in fact had a child while she was away, and the husband died after she had a child. So when the husband died, they did have a child, and therefore she would not need to do chalitza. And now you caused her to do chalitza unnecessarily. You're going to have to make an announcement. And then you're going to have a problem because someone's not going to hear the announcement, and then she's going to marry a Kohen and all that. So why don't we worry about the same thing here? Amar Papa Bigrusha. The Papa says that Mishnah must be talking about a case when she's already divorced. She was already a divorcee from before, and so she already was not able to marry a Kohen, and therefore we say, you know what, do chalitza, because you won't be able to, nothing to lose. You weren't able to marry a Kohen anyway. But if it was not a Gerusha, then you're right. In fact, we would worry about such a thing, and we would say, you know what, wait till we verify what happened. Rav Chia bered Ravuna Amar B'amra Ani Vehu Nechbenu Bim'ara. Or another case is where she says, listen, we were away and we were hiding in a cave. No one saw us. We had a child, he died, the kid died. All this happened while we were in a cave, and therefore there will not be any witnesses that will ever come to verify one way or another, and therefore you don't have to worry that you're going to ever have to undo that chalisa, and we will never permit her to marry a Kohen, so you don't have to worry about this gezerah. We'll now begin the discussion of the next Mishnah. Shene Yevamot. Zo omeret met ba'ali v'zo omeret met ba'ali. You have two women, they're sisters-in-law, because they are married to two brothers. The women are not related to each other. Two women married to two brothers, and there are no children at all. So let's call them couple A and couple B. Zo omeret, so let's say wife of couple A. Wife A says, my husband has died. And wife B also testified that her husband is dead. So they are believed for themselves. In other words, wife A is believed that husband A is dead. So that means that she will now, since they have no children, will have to do yibum. The problem is, zo asura mipnei ba'ala shel zo v'zo asura mipnei ba'ala shel zo. The problem is that testimony of wife A cannot be used for wife B, because they are sisters-in-law, and we worry that sisters-in-law hate each other and therefore may lie to get the other one in trouble. So now they are kind of stuck. They can't go and marry outside because they both have to do yibum. Their husbands died without children. But they cannot do yibum because the husband, we don't know if they're alive or dead. Now, even though if we accept both parts of the testimony turns out that both husbands are dead, and assuming that there's no other brothers, then they would be allowed to go and marry out. The problem is that the testimony of wife B cannot be used by wife A. So wife A, she knows her husband is dead, but she doesn't know if the other one is dead. She has to verify that before she can go and marry out, and the same vice versa. All right, next scenario. Lazo adim velazo en adim. Same case as before, except this time, let's say wife A also has witnesses that her husband is dead. La adim asura. Wife A still cannot do yibum or remarry. She can still not remarry because she still needs to do yibum, and she cannot verify that the husband of wife B is dead, because that is only based on the testimony of his sister-in-law. But wife B, that she is okay, muteret, because she testified her husband is dead, and she was able to verify through the witnesses of husband A that husband A are dead, that she has no other brother-in-law, and therefore she is permitted to go and marry someone else. Lazo banim, or another variation, velazo en banim. Let's say wife A has children with her husband, since her husband died with children, so no yibum. So it doesn't matter if there is a brother alive or dead. She has child, so therefore she can go and marry out. But wife B, who has no children, she has to do yibum, and she cannot verify that her brother-in-law is dead because the testimony of her sister-in-law doesn't count for her. Asura, she would be not allowed. Nitya bemu umetu hayivamin. The next variation, similar to before, but this time there are 4 brothers. And so the wife A testifies her husband is dead, and she doesn't know about wife B, but she goes and marries yet another brother, call him C. And the other wife also, she says, wife B says, my husband B is dead, but she can go and marry Mr. D. So that's fine. However, let's say C and D also die. Now they're back to square one. Asurot linaseh. Again, they are stuck because they still cannot verify whether the husband of their sister-in-law has died. The original A and B husbands have died. The testimony of A cannot be used by B, and B cannot be used by A, so now they are still stuck. Rabbi Elazar omer, ho'il v'hutru le'yevamin, hutru l'chol adam. Rabbi Elazar disagrees. In this case, only he disagrees, and would say, since we permitted them to marry the brothers-in-law, and so now you permitted both of them, so both of them have like facts on the ground. It's not just that she's waiting to see, will she do yibum or chalitza or marry out. She did yibum, so that is proof enough that they are not lying. A person's not going to put themselves, she's not going to lie just to make her sister-in-law, remarry in a not permitted way. And she herself, and put herself in a prohibited relation by marrying one of the brothers. So therefore, once each of them do go ahead and marry someone else, and we permit it, so there, hutre l'chol adam, in that case, after C and D die, we can then trust that the original testimony about A and B are believed for each other, and they can go marry anyone. Okay, the Gemara is going to discuss this case a lot on the next tomorrow, but we'll just read the first line of the Gemara, which is a Baraita that brings yet another variation. Tana lazo adim ubanim velazo lo adim velo banim shetehen mutarot. In the case, it was just 2 brothers. And they're both married, and they have no children, and they die. And let's say husband A, there are witnesses that husband A died, and they have children also. And the other one, there are no witnesses that her husband died, and they have no children. In that case, both of them can remarry. The reason is because wife A and husband A, they have children, so therefore wife A doesn't have to do yibum, so she can go marry out. And wife B, she testified that her husband is dead, and there are witnesses that the other brother is dead, husband A is dead, and therefore there is no one to do yibum with, and therefore she also can go ahead and remarry. Baruch Adonai L'olam, amen v'amen.